the idea is to get the size and the grandness of the project. They're going to love this. I'm Steve, by the way. Nice to meet you. Foreground, so don't forget about that space over there. Here at 1/250th. Perfect. I think that's a wrap. Looks great. I know the client's going to be really happy with these photos. Okay, so this is a new senior living center that has just been completed in Savage, Minnesota. It was designed by an architecture firm that did the exteriors and the interiors. The firm has been a long-standing client of mine. We're going to be shooting architectural photography, interiors of all of the common area spaces, a model unit that they have set up, the dining room, library, reception area, things like that. The concept that I have in terms of shooting architecture is I try to shoot interiors on the opposite side of the building as the sun. So this morning we will be shooting the interior spaces on the west side of the building, and then later this afternoon we'll be shooting photos on the east facing side of the building. That way we avoid glare coming directly into the windows. The challenges that we face are the unknowns. I usually try to do a walkthrough, particularly on a larger project like this. Unfortunately, we didn't have that opportunity, so I don't know what degree of complete this project is in. My mantra is, let's make some pretty pictures. So I really want to showcase the project in the most positive light, make it look beautiful, do whatever it takes. So we're getting ready to go inside, but just before we do, I want to just kind of explain what's in the vehicle and what we're going to bring in. Typically, we don't bring everything in on a shoot like this because we're probably not going to use a fair amount of it, but we bring everything just in case. So obviously, we're going to bring the camera bag and the tripod. We might need the accessory bag. We'll bring that in with us also. This long bag holds diffusion panels and light stands and things like that. We may not bring that in initially because we may not need it. Same thing here, we have LEDs in this bag. If it gets too dark, we can fill in using LEDs or add some contrast if we need to. But in a new project like this, it's probably unlikely that we're going to need it because they're generally well lit, there's lots of windows. We're not looking at any really, really dark areas, I don't think. However, we don't know that, so I bring them anyway. So I have a flash that I use to shoot against windows so we can bring the exposure in properly. So chances are we're going to use that, but I think for now, when we go in, we're just going to bring the camera bag and the tripod. We're going to go inside now. When we get in there, we're going to be asking for one of the managers. My goal is to do a quick walkthrough of the project, especially to the areas that we're interested in shooting, so we can assess the field conditions, make sure that everything is photo ready, and then we'll make sure that we can execute our shot plan the way I originally conceived it. They may show us things in the building that were actually not in the shot plan that we might find interesting, so we'll just check it out.
It was a tough decision. I was going to stick with it, but then it gets complicated with the children, you know.
Sure.
So.
Anyway, I'm Steve, by the way.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So anyway, thank you for inviting us in here today.
Yeah, of course.
And we want to showcase this beautiful project, so we really appreciate all of your help.
Perfect.
And
Yeah, just holler if you
the
need
place looks great.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So do you want to just give us a quick tour?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. Lead the way, Michelle.
All right. There's still a lot of construction, so.
Yeah. So obviously this is your lobby. Yep.
Nurse's office, Mickey and I's office.
Yep.
Put you on the route I do the tours on.
Okay.
Pub is here.
Oh, okay. This is the bistro.
Yes,
Okay.
bistro.
This is perfect. Oh man.
I think
The second.
second floor.
Yeah, they had the pictures on the wall.
No, third floor. This one. This one just had pictures on the wall.
Yeah, the second
Okay.
one had nothing.
Yes.
Okay, so on the other side here, there's another one of these rooms. It looks like it's done. Are you done painting that?
Yeah, but it has tapes.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be like the second, but maybe in the next couple hours. Do you think you could pull the tape for us? That would be awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Library, sorry, library.
Oh,
Eventually.
Yes. Okay.
Community room,
Okay.
patio.
Gotcha. Beauty shop.
Yep, beauty
Oh.
shop, and I'll show you this one.
Oh,
We'll go up that
oh,
way.
the theater. Oh my gosh.
Movie theater.
How about that, huh?
Yeah, I know. It's nice.
This is a very nice amenity.
It is.
Can we put on a movie?
I know. We usually have something go.
Gone with the Wind. That's one of my go-tos.
Sounds good. Holler if you need us.
Thanks again.
Yes.
Very good. All right, so I think this is going to be pretty straightforward. It's a relief to see that the project is pretty much shoe ready. It's just a matter of making some pretty pictures. Right off the bat, of course, we walked into this entrance here, and this is a great establishing shot here. I think we want to come here from the corner to, again, show the architecture, show the grand sweep of that grand staircase. Additionally, over here, we'll want to focus in on this space. Again, it really just still shows the architecture of the space, this nice little seating area. A lot of what architectural photography is, in my opinion, compared to real estate photography, architectural photography is more subtractive. So what we're doing is we are taking a view, we're narrowing it down to actually remove the elements that aren't quite so important and include the elements that are important. I still would like to see something that's going to be a little tighter here. I'm not sure how we'll do this. Maybe it might be a vertical like this. And I think that's enough to get us going. Okay, so I'm just trying to get the whole space in the frame here. I'm pretty centered there, aren't I? One of the magnificent things about this particular camera system is that you don't have to rely on your eyesight to get into focus. The tilt shift lenses are manual focus. They provide you with this really neat little hourglass. There's out of focus, so you just ratchet the lens until it goes green, and then it is dead on sharp focus. But also just to give you an idea as to what's going on here, if you go down here, well, that's a little bit out of focus, a little bit out of focus, so that's where we might do some focus stacking with this one. I'm going to shoot background, make sure, okay? Okay, that's one shot. I'm going to shoot foreground now, so I've changed the focus. So another technique that I use that is particularly effective with the tilt shift lens is that I can expand the field of view by shifting up. Foreground. Okay, and then we're going to shift up again. Background, focus. We have 3 sets of photos here. We have lower, middle, upper. In each set, we have focus to the back, focus to the front. In post-processing, they're all brought together into one image, which will be approximately square when we finish with it. So we're putting together a large panel system. Beautiful. Okay, I want you to hold this over your head as high as you can.
And jump.
And then jump. Okay, so we're going to set this up against the door, actually. Jeff, where are you? Go ahead and pull the diffusion panel away for a second. So you see what happens when without the diffusion panel, we have all this nasty glare that all the way around the rim and across the face of the fireplace, which can be fixed, but wouldn't it be better to just have it be the way it's supposed to be? So go ahead and put the diffusion panel back. So there's just a little bit, there's a little bit of something rimming on here, which I'm not going to worry too much about, but we've gotten rid of about 90% of it. Okay, so that's one. We're going to do another one here for foreground. That's it, done. What I love about this image is that we have these circles. So we have a circle in the foreground, we have circles against the mantelpiece, and we have basically a circle up above. So this is a real storytelling kind of image to show. Besides schlepping equipment and setting up diffusion panels and things like that, Jeff is an excellent set of second eyes, making sure that everything is in place, removing objects that shouldn't be there. He's working ahead of me, so almost intuitively anticipating what I'm going to shoot and kind of paving the way to make sure that it's correct. Then using the iPad, he can see what I'm shooting and he can say, no, you're a little bit to the left. He's actually been correcting my exposure. So he's keeping me out of trouble in terms of exposure. So yeah, he's a great assistant from that standpoint. Okay, so Bistro is next. This scene has a lot of rich tones to it. It's obviously very different from the lobby area. Nice textures. The plaid on the chairs is a great pattern on the front of the chairs. The rich wood paneling. I just think it's a nice shot. Am I in too close there?
I think a little bit. It's sure cutting off this.
Don't you think you like it a lot better there?
I do.
Yeah.
Better. Yeah. It was just a little too tight.
Right. And then the television monitor on the side, we're going to stitch in a television monitor scene. So that's kind of something that I've evolved into doing over a period of time. I used to sit there and wait, try to get the TV on, which nobody could find the remote or whatever, didn't know how to work it. But now I almost always leave the TV off and I just stitch in a television monitor picture in post. It's just much easier, much more straightforward. This is background, this is foreground. We're going to shift down, refocus to background. Okay. Bistro completo. We've done the lobby, we've done the bistro, so we're going to go over to memory care next, shoot that common area, and then to the porch, see if we can get that shot also. We're in the memory care area now. We were on a little bit of a break, but we shot a couple quick shots in this area. We're now going to head to the sun porch, which is part of the memory care unit. So the features of this room that we want to highlight obviously is the space, and the most critical piece are the windows. This is going to be a space that's going to be enjoyed by the residents, I'm sure, and so we want to show how pleasant it is and what's outside. We have a little bit of a challenge in two ways. One is the color temperature between the outside and the inside is drastically different. I took a white balance reading and it's currently set at 3600, which is way too cool. So we're going to correct that, and I'm going to take it up to 4900 here. And right away, the room, at least in terms of tonality, looks much more natural. Now the other thing also is the differential in the exposure. It's way brighter on the outside than it is on the inside. So we're going to correct for that also. So we have a way of correcting that through a technique called the Flambient method, where we're actually going to be shooting the ambient space as it is, as you see it right now. Then we're going to be adding a flash and just flashing the windows. Then in post-processing, those are merged together and they become one image. The windows come perfectly in exposure and the room is perfectly in exposure. So again, in terms of story, you can visualize the residents sitting in this space. So, but we want to be able to kind of get things clustered a little bit more attractively. So I'm going to pull all this in. So it looks like it was about halfway. Okay. Okay, let's see how that looks. I'm refining my composition because I had a piece of this wall was in the picture and I want to make it as even as possible. I got that. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so go ahead and turn the flash on.
Flash is on.
We'll try half first and see how that goes. Okay, ready?
You're trying to get that definition around that window so it's easy to cut out, right?
Yep.
All right.
Okay, so this picture is done. So let me explain what we're doing here. This is the ambient shot, and what we're really exposing for is the inside here. It looks a little dark, but it actually is not a really bright room. So we want it to look accurate. We don't want it to look weirdly, you know, lit or something like that. I did a number of other exposures just in case I need one of them. I doubt that I will. So then we add the flash. So adding the flash, what we're doing is we are way overexposing the room, okay? And the outside is relatively in exposure, not exactly. So I did one more, I did it just a little bit darker. The upshot of it is that this image is layered on top of this image, and using a technique in Photoshop, we just simply brush in the windows and they come in just sharp. No fringing, no blurring. You don't have to be exact with the brush. You just go in and it's over. All right, so here we are in the theater, which is really a showcase room for a project like this. Never seen one in a senior living community quite like this. Usually they just sit people down in the living room at a facility in front of a TV set in rows, and it is what it is. But this is really dramatic. I would say that they're going to have sellouts for every show. I mean, it just looks really, really cool. Okay, so we've got everything framed up. Jeff helped me out a lot because I probably had it wrong. I was shifted too far to the right, eliminating this wall area, and had the back row. The back row is only 2 chairs because they leave room for wheelchairs. But that's not really critical to the picture, so he had me shift over a little bit. We've got more of this wall with the grease poster. Subwoofer was there on the floor, which just is a distracting piece of equipment. He disconnected it, moved it out, and now we're ready to go. Jeff discovered this also, and I wasn't really paying attention, but thank goodness he was here. That's why I have an assistant, is that he discovered that we have wall sconces, so that really helps add highlights to the room, and then even aisle lights. So just adds a little bit more, just shows off some of the features and the design of the room. Here's something that I just discovered. We're getting some flare right from that light. I can see it actually in the picture. So we need a black card, which could be the iPad right here.
And you were getting a glare from here, probably?
I was getting it right from there. Yep.
Okay.
It may not be obvious, but you can kind of see it a little bit, and on the computer display, it would be boom. And of course, as you know, flare adds fog, you lose contrast, you lose resolution. The picture is a bust.
It's pretty dramatic if you look. Well, the difference between here and watch how much less even black in the ceiling for there versus there. Look at the contrast. Yeah. Definitely different. That's a wrap.
Yeah, I think we're done here. I think you know, we've accomplished just about everything we wanted to do. Yeah, I think overall everything went very smoothly. Thank goodness the property was ready to shoot. That could have been a real disaster area if we'd come here a week ago. Looks great. I know the client's going to be really happy with these photos. Okay, here we are back in the studio. This was a challenging shoot, so we actually went back the next morning and we shot a whole other set of aerials that included some different content. You know, we'll talk about that later. But here's this is the photo shoot in total. This is all of the images, and there's exterior aerial photos. There are some exterior photos on the ground. Then we went inside, and there's a whole bunch of interior images. There's approximately, looks like there was 183
clicks of the camera on this photo shoot. So this is all the images, interiors, exteriors, and aerial from both sides of the building, and then the follow-up aerial that took place on the next day. So from all of these, I go through and I select the ones that we're going to be using, and I give them a star rating. Now, some of them are busted shots, and for example, you know, we were taking pictures here, and somebody stepped in front of the camera, so we had to bust the shot. So here's this hand in front of the camera lens means that everything before that is a bust, and so then everything after that is a good picture. So we go through all the pictures, we call out all those busted shots, shots that are perhaps not meaningful, so we don't keep everything, and we end up with what we call selects. So these are all the selects. We ended up with 131 selects. Now that doesn't mean that there's 131 individual pictures, because some of these are composited, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But the first thing I think I'd like to do is give you an idea as to what we do with an exterior image. So let's just take a look at this one right here. So this is a pretty good looking image. It's I like the composition on it. It shows the project. It's pretty neat. There's not a lot of extraneous information on the sides, but it has some issues that are going to have to be addressed. Just a little one is right here. There's a sign that says "Now open, tour today." And if you can see that, we don't want that in the final image, because these images will hopefully last for a long, long time, and so 10 years from now, that's not going to be relevant. The other thing, of course, is that the entire foreground area was still straw. It had not been seeded or sodded, so we're going to need to do something like that. I can't deliver pictures that look like that. So we're going to do a couple things here. We're going to, first of all, we're going to kind of tune up the entire image. And the way we do that is we take the image into an application called, this is also part of On1, and it's called On1 Effects. And so we're going to take it into On1 Effects. Okay, so On1 Effects allows me to do everything on an individual basis, but it also has a number of presets that I can use for reference. So for this image, I'm going to go into my landscape set, and I'm going to select one here. I'm going to select this one. Okay, this is called Magic Desert. Okay, so let me just see something here. There we go. So this is the original. Here it is with the preset. Now, it's got some problems here right away. So first of all, it comes in with a vignette, which means that the edges are darker, and so if you turn the vignette off, it takes the vignette away. I'm not sure that I'm nuts about the vignette, but maybe it might work to some extent. So we have the latitude to maybe just ramp it back. So we can ramp it back all the way, or we can maybe just bring it in just a little bit. Now what that vignette does is it focuses our attention into the center of the image, and that's what we want to do. Okay, so this also includes a color enhancer, and you can see that it kind of really warms things up. So we're going to just take that back a little bit here too, all the way. But again, what I'm looking at, I'm not really looking at this. What I'm looking at is the color and the tonality of the building right here. Looks pretty good. Then one final bit of secret sauce that I use in almost every architectural image is something called dynamic contrast. Dynamic contrast, it uses contrast to sharpen an image. So it's not really sharpening. Sharpening can be a very dangerous tool, particularly in the hands of an inexperienced photo editor or an inexperienced photographer. We've got a good start here. So I'm going to call this done, at least for this particular application. Okay, so we're going to go back to Lightroom. Here is our edited image to this point. This is what it looked like originally. Not a huge amount of difference, but you can see how it just gets snapped up. Looks really, really good. Okay, so we're going to take this image and we're going to export that out into Photoshop. Okay, so let's take a look at this in Photoshop now. So an entirely different application. We have some problems here. So I mentioned the grass or lack thereof. So we're going to do something about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something called replace color. So we're going to add a layer, and we're going to go up to into our adjustments here, and we're going to replace color. Okay, so we have to choose the color that we want to replace. So it's obviously, if you can see the eyedropper here, that's one of them, but that's not all of them. We need to choose more. So we're going to choose all the way around here, and we're going to choose just about everything that is similar to that color. Okay, so now we need to replace it with something. And what are we going to replace it with? We're going to replace it with green grass, right? Okay, so we're going to go out here, and we're going to, let's maybe choose this grass over here on the right. Start there anyway, that'll be good for starters. Okay, so we've made our initial selection, and we've replaced the brown grass or lack of grass with a color of green, which is actually quite horrid. So we're going to need to fine tune it, but it gave us a general idea as to where we want to go, and we can even just click around a little bit and maybe change it a little bit. It's not really improving it too much. Here's what it was before. And although we're still not 100% there, we're getting pretty close. Okay, so I'm going to call this good here, and so we're going to say OK. Now, as you can see, we have a whole lot of other things that were selected as green, so we're going to need to get rid of those pieces. We're going to take that. We'll just grab our brush at 100% here, and we're going to just brush out anything that turned green that wasn't supposed to be green. So it now looks like green grass, but it also looks a little weird, especially with all those stripes on there. It's not, it just looks unnatural. So we can do some things about that. And I think we will before we go on. We're going to just tune this up. There's a couple of other things we want to do with this image, but I think we're getting pretty close. So I'm going to flatten this out now. Just check it one more time. Looking pretty good here. Okay, so Photoshop has a marvelous tool called Content Aware, and we're going to be able to address some of these areas here pretty quickly. So we're just going to create a layer, and we're just going to, this little line here is a bugger in terms of just being a little too, it stands out a little bit if you just press the button here, Content Aware, and it just more or less smooths it out. We'll just take a couple of others. Here's another one, and I think should be removed. Okay, so the next thing that I mentioned, or one of the things I mentioned previously, I should say, is that we have this sign up here that is really out of context, and so we're going to need to remove that. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to create a layer, and we're going to grab onto the railing on the floor below, and we're just going to take that railing, we're going to draw around it. Okay, and we're going to bring that layer up and put it on top. Now, of course, it doesn't fit; it's out of proportion. So we're going to do some things to get it in proportion. And so we're going to this is a little bit of screwing around here, but be able to do a little bit of that. If we're not really sure how we're doing, we can always reduce the opacity. Okay, so this needs to come down a little bit here. I think it'll come up, I guess, like that. That's better. So there it is. If you zoom back out, it's gone. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, with a little bit of editing here to just tune it up, we're going to remove this bare spot here, which is just dirt. We're going to fill grass in there. We're going to remove more of these lines, and we'll have a final image. Okay, so after a few minutes of some fine-tuning, tweaking the image, filling in some of the other spots that didn't look that great, we are now down to our final image, and here we are. So in summation, we started out with a with a really good image, in my opinion. It really tells the story of this project in terms of what the architect was trying to achieve, what the owner wants to see for this project, but it had some technical and logistical issues that we had to overcome. The time of day, the fact that the landscaping was not yet complete, and so we use all of the technical tools that we have to overcome those obstacles to achieve a top-notch image. What I'm trying to illustrate here is that everybody has access to great equipment, great cameras, great lighting, or they can just use their cell phone, which takes really great pictures too. The difference is that artistry and a process. So you have to be able to handle all the logistics of a photo shoot properly in terms of setting it up, getting everybody together, making sure that client and their people are all on board to make sure that everything works. You have to have your crew, your team ready to assist you to make sure that everything goes smoothly. You have to actually execute the photo shoot, making the right choices that will tell a story about the project, create remarkable images, and then when you get back to the studio, you have to use, in many cases, some unique tools to take those images and make them into something that truly is remarkable.